On that note, we now have the most awaited and the biggest award of this evening, that is for a lifetime of service. So I'm going to let Bade Bhaiya Amit ji do the honors because it's a big one and you need a big weighty name to do it. So Amit, go ahead.
Thank you, Avi. What began as a dream in 1992 turned into a public charitable trust in 1994. Karunashray, an abode for advanced stage cancer patients in Bangalore. Mr. Rao has been the think pod behind Karunashray, now the chairman. He believes in restoring the dignity of the patients. He strongly believes in the quote by Rabindranath Tagore, "Death is not extinguishing the light. It is only putting out the lamp because dawn has come." Ladies and gentlemen, the Lifetime Achievement Award to Mr. Kishore S. Rao.
Good evening. My name is Kishore Rao and I live in Bangalore. I've been in the field of cancer care for the last 34 years and this has become my passion now ever since I retired from my job, which was in Madura Coats Limited. In 1986, while I was working in the company, there were some things that came to me that told me that merely working for a corporate career was not sufficient and that I needed to do something in addition to my work, making money for somebody else. And that's when I started looking around and to see whether there was anything I could contribute to society. And during my career, I thought of cancer as one area where in Bangalore there was a need for people to contribute. That's how my whole journey started at that time. It began substantially in 1992 when I realized that doing both a corporate career and a service for society was not sufficient. And I took a conscious decision to seek early retirement from Madura Coats and to start working practically full-time on cancer. In those early days, I used to do a lot of awareness work, spreading awareness that cancer is not a death penalty, that if you manage the disease well, and if you were able to contribute to your cause along with the doctors, that it could easily be managed. So we used to do a lot of screening work, we used to do a lot of awareness work, and we used to do a lot of emotional support work. Now, these were the three things I started in 1984, went on up to 1992 when I sought retirement and began working for this. In those days, I was invited by the government to be on the governing body of the local cancer center, Kidwai Memorial Institute of Cancer. And that's where my full-time association with the disease took place. It was one of those days when I was there in Kidwai where I saw an old man, obviously a rural villager, who was not only suffering, but who had been discharged and was asked to go home. And the abject poverty, the ignorance of what was going to happen to him, etc., really taught me to work for such people who were abandoned and had no idea of what to do. That's how my start with palliative care took place. And we set up a unit called Karunashraya. And in this, we look after those people whose treatment has been concluded and who are waiting for the ultimate in life. It's not only the medical part of it. As many people know, the suffering increases, and as you approach the end of life, it's also that you have the psychological effect of being totally abandoned. So our care goes right from the managing the pain, managing the other symptoms, and looking after such people. But more than that, it's the psychological part that is important. We have dealt with almost 25,000 people in a beautiful center we have set up called Karunashraya. And in that center, we provide totally and completely free of charge, not only inpatient care, but the medical part of it and the psychological part of it to such patients. The psychological counseling is not only for the patient, but it's for the family also. Because the family knows very well that very soon the patient is going to breathe his last. And if he's the breadwinner of the family, you can imagine the devastation in the family's minds. I said we've dealt with about 25,000 people, but from what I've said, our unit of care is not just the family, not just the patient, but the family also. And if you take the size of an average Indian family, it goes up to about 1 lakh of people whom we've dealt with. This sort of work has taught me a few things, and my values in life have gone up. It's not just that we seek and get donations to work for such people, but it's also that this work has enriched us also. So it's not just, nobody should think that we are providing service to the poor patients. It's also that we are getting something out of it. Just to give you a few examples, I've learned forgiveness. I've learned integrity. I've learned empathy. I've learned compassion. And I've learned that caring for somebody who is approaching the end of life is a reward in itself that I get out of it. So anybody who thinks that Karunashraya is doing a great job for patients has one more thought coming to them, and that is what people like you and I gain out of doing this work. I very soon realized that there's nothing special in me, and any of you listening to me now is quite capable of doing the same type of work that I've been doing. We are quite willing to help people, to train people, and to make it possible for people to replicate our work. So all over India, we've already set up some 7 centers, and we're quite open to teaching people how to do some more work. Thank you, VCare Foundation, for being so good to me of identifying me. I won't say recognizing me, but identifying me for an award today. But let me tell you that VCare Foundation, whom I've known for the last 25 years, is not honoring me, but who is really honoring those suffering patients who are waiting for their end of life. End of life in peace and in dignity. Thank you very much.
The Lifetime Achievement Award has been sponsored by the Choksi family since its inception in memory of Asha Choksi and Neville Choksi.
Well, can we have a huge round of applause for Mr. Kishore Rao?